Nefertiti and their family stood beneath the rays of Aten. The sun reached out as if to embrace them. The temples were open to the sky. No walls to hide the light, no shadows to hinder prayer. It was a city designed to mirror the light of Aten. One morning, Akhenaten stood before the first completed temple in Tel El Amarna. Light streamed down from the sky, reflecting off the white stone. He raised his hands to Aten and prayed in a quiet voice, as if speaking directly to the god himself. Nefertiti stood beside him, holding an offering, her face serene, yet filled with determination. The people who had come with them looked on in awe, but also felt a sense of alienation. This city was unlike anything they had ever known. Tel El Amarna was not just a new capital, it was the heart of the Amarna revolution. Akhenaten wanted it to be a city of life, a city of light. He ordered the construction of palaces for the royal family, gardens filled with flowers, and streets bustling with markets. But this city was different. It was not filled with statues of Amun and Osiris. Instead, it was adorned with the symbols of Aten, the sun whose rays reached every corner. Artists worked day and night, painting. Portraits of Akhenaten, Nefertiti, and their daughter filled the city. It was a royal family turned to stone. Yet building Tel El Amarna was no easy feat. Workers toiled under the scorching sun. The stones were heavy, and time was short. Akhenaten was in a hurry. He wanted to see his dream realized before it was too late. The resistance of the priests intensified, even in the new markets. People began moving to the city, merchants, artists, families, but they carried questions with them. Would this city become a permanent home, or was it merely a pharaoh's dream destined to fade? One night, Akhenaten and Nefertiti sat in their new palace. The windows overlooked the Nile, moonlight shimmering across its surface. They spoke of the city, of Aten, of the future. Akhenaten was filled with hope, yet he knew that shadows were gathering. News of the priests' growing discontent arrived from Thebes. Whispers of small rebellions spread through the provinces. But in that moment, beneath the moonlight, he felt that Tel El Amarna marked the beginning of a new era, the dawn of change, the first step in a plan he would never forget. Yet this dream carried within it the seeds of a greater limit. Tel El Amarna was a symbol of the radiant light of Aten, but it was also a target for Akhenaten's enemies, who were watching closely. Waiting for his downfall, his enemies watched from afar. In Tel El Amarna, under the blazing sunlight, Akhenaten began to build his world, unaware that this city would one day witness both his greatest glory and his final end. From this moment, Tel El Amarna took shape as a city of light, but also a city of defiance. Here, where Aten illuminated a new land, the city pulsed with life, like a living painting shaped by Akhenaten himself, a city not merely for living, but for realizing a dream of unification. As Tel El Amarna neared completion, its unique character emerged. Wide streets unfolded, filled with vibrant markets, merchants selling silken spices, and children running through gardens planted with palm and lotus trees. The palaces stood open to the sky, their walls adorned with reliefs depicting Akhenaten, Nefertiti, and their daughter beneath the golden rays of Aten. It was as though the sun itself watched over them. The temples were unlike the shadowed sanctuaries of Thebes. They were open and radiant, inviting all to witness the light of the one God. Yet Tel El Amarna was more than a city of stone, it was a reflection of Akhenaten's spirit. He wandered its streets, seeing people living under the light of Aten, hearing hymns praising the sun instead of Amun. For the first time, he felt his dream taking form. Nefertiti was always by his side, walking with him through the gardens, speaking to the people as a queen not only of the palace, but of the nation itself. The people looked upon her and saw strength in her eyes and hope in her smile. One evening, Akhenaten and Nefertiti stood on the balcony of their palace. The Nile shimmered beneath the moonlight, and a sense of wonder filled the air. They gazed upon the city, at the lights flickering in the distant markets, at the people beginning to embrace a new way of life. The people began to embrace a new life. Akhenaten spoke of Aten, of its light that unites hearts, but Nefertiti looked at him with quiet concern. She knew that this radiant city would never escape the watchful eyes of the priests or the wrath of the ancient gods. In Tel El Amarna, art itself began to change. The reliefs that once portrayed pharaohs as distant, all-powerful gods now depicted Akhenaten and Nefertiti as human, as a family. They appeared playing with their daughters, laughing and embracing beneath the rays of Aten. This art was new, unfamiliar, and strikingly real. People gazed upon these reliefs, some with awe, others with confusion. They wondered how a pharaoh could dare to present himself as merely human. But Akhenaten wished to show the world that Aten was the god of life, not the god of power. Yet life in Tel El Amarna was far from perfect. The workers who built the city suffered under the relentless heat and exhaustion. Merchants who had relocated from Thebes complained of weak trade and the city's isolation from the rest of Egypt. Quietly, news reached Akhenaten of growing discontent among the nobles in Thebes and of priests sending messages urging the people to return to the worship of Amen. Tel El Amarna had become an island surrounded by a sea of resistance. One night, Akhenaten sat alone in his throne room, the windows open to the sky, the stars shimmering as if recounting the story of Aten. He reflected on his people and on his vision for the future. Nefertiti sat beside him in silence, her eyes filled with unspoken questions. She knew that this city, however beautiful, rested on fragile ground. She knew the priests would not relent, and that the people might one day rebel. Yet in those moments, Tel El Amarna still shone. The markets overflowed with life, children played in the streets, and artists continued carving their reliefs, images of a royal family living beneath the light of Aten. Akhenaten believed that this city marked the dawn of a new era, an age free from the shadows of the old gods. But light always draws shadows. In Thebes, priests plotted and nobles conspired. Even within Tel El Amarna, whispers began to spread, whispers of a pharaoh who dreamed of more than he could achieve. Under the rays of Aten, the city pulsed with life, yet within it lay the seeds of its own downfall. From this point, Tel El Amarna reflected Akhenaten's dream more clearly than ever, even as the shadows crept closer, threatening to extinguish its light. The Amarna revolution left its mark, but its brilliance cast long, dangerous shadows, shadows that would demand a heavy price, one for which Akhenaten was unprepared. Years after the founding of Tel El Amarna, the whispers that once lingered in Thebes began to take form. The people who had moved to the new city started to feel isolated. Markets that had once thrived slowly fell silent. On Egypt's distant borders, once protected by the armies of Amenhotep III, stability began to fade, and Akhenaten's power began to weaken.